You're here because, well, you want to get straight to the good stuff, right? The information that actually makes a difference.
Exactly. Cut through the noise.
And that's what we do. So today, we're doing a deep dive into something really interesting: anti-inflammatory diets.
Yes, specifically, looking at this cool connection between uh, ancient Himalayan wisdom and cutting-edge science.
We've pulled together quite a bit of material, stuff from Harvard, the Mayo Clinic.
And top journals, too, like
Yeah.
Nature, Cell, Science Journal, Arthritis and Rheumatology.
Right. Also the New England Journal of Medicine, Pediatrics, JAMA, and even JAMA Psychiatry. A really wide range.
Definitely.
So our mission, basically, is to sift through all this, the old and the new, and pull out the key insights. You know, how an anti-inflammatory diet can help, regardless of age.
And what's really striking as you look through it all is how this ancient knowledge about food is now being backed up really strongly by modern research on inflammation.
It's fascinating. Okay, so let's kick this off. Why should we even care about inflammation? What's the big deal?
Well, that's really the starting point, isn't it? The sources we looked at are pretty clear.
Yeah.
Chronic inflammation isn't just, a sore muscle here and there.
It goes deeper.
Much deeper. It can mess with your joints, your immune system, even your mood, your overall well-being. It's systemic.
Okay, right. And there's actual evidence for this, yeah. I remember seeing that JAMA study from 2023.
Oh, yeah, that was quite something.
It found that changing your diet can actually lower inflammation markers. And the really interesting bit, maybe even faster than some medications.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant when you think about it.
It really is. And how does this connect to other research, like Dr. Frank Hugh at Harvard?
Good connection.
Yeah.
His work fits right in. He suggests these anti-inflammatory diets might cut arthritis pain by like 40%.
Wow, 40%.
Yeah. And also, interestingly, he linked it to a lower risk of depression. That diet-mood connection is getting stronger.
And wasn't there something about heart health, too, from the Mayo Clinic?
Spot on. They also recommend this kind of eating pattern for supporting heart health. So you see, tackling inflammation through food seems to have these broad benefits.
Okay, so it's clearly important. What are some of these key foods, then? The ones that pop up in both the traditional knowledge and the science.
Let's start with a couple of classics from Himalayan healing. Turmeric and ginger,
Okay.
used for ages there. And a 2022 study, I think it was Nature Journal, explains why. They can block something called NF-κB.
NF-κB, right. That's like a major inflammation trigger.
Exactly. Think of it as flicking the switch for inflammation. These spices can help block that switch.
But it's not just about eating turmeric, is it? I saw something about how you take it in.
Yes. Bioavailability, that's crucial. Curcumin is the active compound in turmeric, the really beneficial bit. But your body doesn't absorb it very well on its own. That's where black pepper comes in.
The piperine.
Precisely. It acts like a helper, boosting the absorption massively. The sources visually show this enhancement, so that traditional pairing isn't just for taste.
It actually makes the turmeric work better. Science backing up tradition again.
You got it.
Okay, what else? You mentioned buckwheat and millets earlier. Not exactly everyday items for many people.
Maybe not, but they were staples in Himalayan diets. They're naturally gluten-free, which is a plus for some, and they're high in quercetin, another anti-inflammatory compound. Plus, a 2021 Cell study linked foods like these to better gut health and even longevity.
Gut health again, it seems central to everything.
It really does. These traditional grains offer more than just basic fuel.
Okay, so spices, grains. What about fruits? Berries.
Definitely. Wild berries, like sea buckthorn, goji berries,
Yeah.
they're highlighted.
And why them specifically?
Well, Harvard research indicated they can boost BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Okay, BDNF sounds important.
It is. It's key for mood regulation, for memory, sort of like fertilizer for your brain cells. So these berries are good for the brain, not just tasty.
Fertilizer for the brain. I like that. Okay, what about fats? I saw ghee and almonds mentioned. Ghee sounds exotic. It's called a sacred fat.
It is in Ayurveda. But even looking at it scientifically, the Mayo Clinic found moderate amounts of ghee can help reduce inflammatory prostaglandins.
Prostaglandins, inflammatory chemicals.
Right. So again, tradition meets science. And almonds, well, they bring healthy fats and other good stuff to the table for an anti-inflammatory approach.
Makes sense. And the last group, fermented foods. Kefir, kimchi. things like that. There was a link to Himalayan herders.
That's right. Those communities traditionally use fermented dairy for immunity. And now, a 2023 Science Journal study gives us a mechanism.
Oh.
It found these foods increase antimicrobial peptides in the gut, which are, really important for fighting off bugs and keeping the immune system healthy.
So wow, it's this constant theme. Traditional Himalayan foods, now scientifically validated for fighting inflammation. It's quite compelling.
It really is. Makes you appreciate that accumulated wisdom.
Now, something else that caught my eye was how the sources talked about tailoring this for different age groups. That seems really practical.
Absolutely, because our needs do change, right? For seniors, the focus often shifts towards omega-3s.
Like from flax seeds, walnuts.
Exactly, and vitamin D too. Research in arthritis and rheumatology links these to less joint stiffness, a common issue for older adults.
Makes total sense. Okay, what about adults, say, middle-aged? Any specific strategies there?
For adults, intermittent fasting gets mentioned. Interestingly, it mirrors some practices found in, monastic traditions.
Huh. And the science.
The New England Journal of Medicine published research showing it can lower IL-6 levels, another inflammation marker, by about 35%.
35% reduction just from changing when you eat.
Potentially, yeah. Even something manageable like a 12-hour overnight fast, as suggested in the sources, could have an impact.
That's significant. Okay, and kids. We don't often think about inflammation in kids, but the sources had a tip.
Yeah, a simple swap, actually. Instead of sugary candy, maybe offer dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Really?
Yeah, the kind with high cocoa content, 70% or more. A study in pediatrics suggested its polyphenols might help prevent childhood inflammation. Moderation, of course, is key.
But still, a healthier treat with potential benefits. Parents might like that one.
Could be an easier sell than some other things.
Definitely. Now, shifting gears slightly, beyond the physical stuff, reducing inflammation. The sources hinted at benefits for mood and maybe even longevity.
Yes, this is where it gets even broader. Think about Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn's Nobel Prize-winning work on telomeres.
The protective caps on our chromosomes.
Exactly. The idea is that these anti-inflammatory foods might help protect those telomeres, potentially slowing down cellular aging.
So eating this way could literally impact how quickly our cells age.
That's the implication, yes. Which ties into longevity and overall health span, not just how long we live, but how well.
That's profound. And the mood connection seems strong, too.
Very much so. That JAMA psychiatry study found a 25% lower incidence of anxiety in people following this type of diet pattern.
A quarter less anxiety just from food choices.
It highlights that really powerful gut-brain axis, the link between what we eat and how we feel mentally.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, if you had to boil it down, what's the main takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the core message, really reinforced by all these sources, is just how deeply connected our diet, inflammation levels, and overall health truly are.
Right.
And the really cool part is that this isn't just some fad. It's backed by both ancient wisdom, centuries of practice, and solid modern science.
Absolutely. So for someone listening now thinking, okay, this sounds great, but where do I start?
Yeah.
What's a realistic first step?
Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Just pick one thing. Maybe try adding turmeric and black pepper to a meal this week.
Or adding some berries.
Yeah, or swap some nuts in for another snack. Just choose one of those Himalayan superfoods we talked about and give it a go. Small steps add up.
That's good advice. Keep it simple, keep it sustainable. And it really is worth thinking about the bigger picture, isn't it? How these small food choices can ripple outwards.
Exactly. It's about more than just fighting symptoms. It's about proactively supporting your body's health, maybe even promoting longevity.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. We've talked a lot about how connected our physical and mental health are. Considering that connection, what's one small, doable dietary change you could make that might create the biggest positive ripple effect in your daily life? Something to chew on this week. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.